Ladies and gentlemen, we are so back. The 2026 NBA season is officially underway, and we got some superb action to kick things off tonight. We started things off with the Thunder, watching them raise their championship banner, and then go to double overtime against the Houston Rockets, and to follow that up, we got an incredibly tight contest between the Lakers and the Warriors, coming in with some new-look squads of their own, getting the first real taste of action together. There was a lot to take note of in these games, and even though there is obviously a long season ahead of us, I think it's important to highlight some notable things that happened in these games that could become recurring trends to watch out for down the line, which brings us to today's video. Today we will be discussing the 4 biggest lessons that we learned from opening night. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first notable lesson we learned from opening night is that the Houston Rockets' spacing is as abysmal as advertised. This offseason, the Rockets were one of the league's most aggressive teams, retooling to try to go all in on a deep playoff push after being the 2 seed in the West last year, but their run got cut short in the first round of the playoffs. Adding Kevin Durant was still easily the best thing they possibly could have done given the circumstances, but once Fred VanVleet suffered an injury, leaving him out for an extended period of time, the team was left with a serious problem. Their backcourt is now incredibly thin, and the team as a whole doesn't really have many capable perimeter shooters whatsoever. That was one of the biggest worries coming into the season, but of course, it's always important to give things a chance and wait until the real games begin to draw any serious conclusions, but based on what went down in this game against the Thunder, it really seems as though those worries are going to be justified. Trust me, I know the Rockets overall played really well tonight, all things considered, but they came up short against a Thunder team that was missing Jalen Williams, and the defending champions do, in general, deserve more benefit of the doubt than the Rockets do. The Rockets just shot 28% from 3 as a team, and it gets a lot uglier when you recognize that Alperen Şengün made literally half of the team's threes tonight, hitting 5 on the night. Şengün is about to level up even further this year. I'm as high on him individually as anybody, but last season Şengün made just 21 total threes on the season, and I don't think it's very sustainable to expect him to be hitting 5 threes every night. The entire rest of the Rockets made just 6 total threes, and honestly, most of them came with the Thunder purposely daring guys to shoot, knowing that they weren't serious threats from the outside. Amen Thompson went 0 for 7 from 3, largely on all wide open looks. Kevin Durant inexplicably went 0 for 4 from deep, so that is admittedly an area where it could regress back to the mean. But defenses can also hone in on him even more, being the only shooter out there, and Reed Sheppard kind of failed his initial test run now that he's fully locked into the rotation. Houston will still be really good as a team overall this season because of their sheer size, athleticism, and length, which is going to pester the living hell out of most of the NBA that simply can't match up with it. But their offense looked super clunky tonight, and their lack of reliable shooting is not going to make it any easier. The second lesson we learned from opening night tonight is that AJ Mitchell is going to be the Thunder's breakout player this year. Most of Mitchell's minutes came in the first half tonight because of how tight things got in the second half, and with it being opening night against a top team, they resorted to shorter playoff-like rotations down the stretch, but over the course of an 82-game season, rotations will loosen up, and Mitchell showed he's ready for an increased role on a Thunder team where it's hard to stand out. Mitchell was a second-round pick in the 2024 NBA draft, and as a rookie last season, he pretty much fell entirely out of their rotation by December, so it was never a given that he would even stick in the league, given those circumstances, let alone find minutes. But he clearly put in a lot of work over the summer, and he has a skill set that the Thunder will absolutely need more of this season, especially with Jalen Williams set to miss an extended period of time due to injury. Tonight, AJ Williams scored 16 points in 15 minutes, hitting 3 threes, shooting 50% from both the field and from 3. He never stops running around the ball trying to find space to get his shot off. He has a quick release and a sweet shooting stroke where he finds his balance well and pulls up from anywhere on the court, and with Isaiah Joe out injured, the Thunder are also in need of a pure shooter to give them a spark here and there. This is still an absolutely loaded team with a championship core deep at every position, so it always blows my mind how often they find these hidden gems and get them to go from nothing to something. There was a lot to like about Oklahoma City's fight and grit down the stretch of this game, but it was all the stuff that we've also been already accustomed to seeing from them. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a heroic performance taking it over and almost single-handedly dragging them to the win, and defensively they absolutely smothered the Rockets ball handlers all night long, but the emergence of Williams is the most notable thing for me because I don't think anyone really expected to see that coming. The third big lesson that we learned from opening night tonight is that Jonathan Kuminga finally has some freedoms on the offensive end for the Warriors. The first 4 seasons of Jonathan Kuminga's career has been as up and down as it could possibly get for a former lottery pick. There have been times where he's shown he can be an explosive scoring punch off the bench. There have also been times when he's been trapped at the end of the bench. There have been times where he gets consistent run for a stretch of games. Then there's times where he has gotten yanked after every little mistake he makes. This summer, we saw the ultimate showdown between Kuminga and the Warriors front office go down, where Kuminga and his camp clearly stated that they wanted to go to a team that would give him the chance to actually flourish and reach his potential, and he wanted to be paid pretty handsomely to do it, and the Warriors just were not confident enough to give him the money he wanted, but they also didn't want to lose him, so they gave him a contract that basically serves as a prove-it deal and can be renegotiated next summer. The thing is though, the Warriors need Kuminga under this iteration of the roster, and because of that, Jonathan Kuminga's creation is being more encouraged right now than ever before. There were several occasions where he just got the ball and went right at his defender, calling his own number and ISOing, taking his time. It's not necessarily the type of offense we're used to seeing in Golden State's system, which shows that there's actual trust starting to form. There were also a few shots that may have looked a bit questionable, and in the past, Steve Kerr would have just benched him, but this time they let him rock and he went right back at it the next possession. The team can't just rely on Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler to do everything if they want to accomplish anything significant, so with Kuminga proving he can emerge, I think they're going to be a lot better than many think. And finally, the last big lesson that we learned from opening night tonight is that Luka Doncic is back to being Luka Doncic. Last season, Luka went through an unusual year where even though his numbers on paper still looked incredibly impressive, they were simultaneously down from what he's proven he can do in the past. Yes, that is just a result of him setting unrealistically high bar for himself, but you could also just tell that something wasn't fully right with him last season. Injuries definitely played a part, with him dealing with knee problems, groin problems, and calf issues at different parts of the season, and he missed 32 games because of these injuries. Plus, getting traded out of nowhere definitely shook him mentally a little bit, whether he wants to admit it or not. He fully expected to be a Maverick for life, so him having to return from injury wearing a different team's jersey was a lot to get acclimated to, and that learning curve also factored into things. Plus, he may not have been fully in game shape either, which was made to be a very big deal in the media. This summer, Luka openly spoke about how he prioritized his fitness levels more than he ever had before. He slimmed down a bit, and tonight, he came out looking like the best version of himself again, which could be an MVP candidate. The Lakers have plenty of other issues they'll need to address, and the result tonight being the kind of loss that they suffered is not great, but without LeBron James out there, I won't overreact too much to that. Luka dropped over 40 points tonight on a near triple-double, getting wherever he wanted at all times, imposing himself physically, and stuffing the stat sheet with ease, so any concerns about what happened last year can be put to rest. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what stood out the most to you on opening night. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.